The vibes of today's video is wearing white after Labor Day. So buckle up, people, because we're going to talk about some patterns. Hello, welcome back. My name is Charlotte. If you're new here, I'm a knitter and aspiring sewist, seamstress. I'm based out of the Seattle, Washington area. I make content all about my knitting, my projects, little lifestyle vlog type of things. I also have a small business where I make and sell handmade polymer clay knitting accessories, which there are still some available on my website, so I'll leave the rest up to you on that one. But I was very inspired today by the current project that I'm working on, which if you watched my last video, you would have seen my wings blouse, which is an all over lace and beaded blousey top. And it's taking forever. It's knit with one strand of silk mohair. It's taken a very long time, but it's probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever made. And there's something about the halo, the all over lace, or just doing lace in general in this like very halo-y white cream yarn. It's just giving ethereal winter princess, and I'm really here for it. Those vibes, that aesthetic definitely inspired this video. I rounded up some patterns that I've been really loving. These all happened to have either all over lace or parts of lace, and some even has some beading, but I think they all kind of have this aesthetic of just wintry, but very beautiful and elegant. I'm really liking everything on here. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. But before we start, if you're new here and you're not yet subscribed, maybe do that. I would appreciate it. And it really helps me out when you comment and thumbs up on the video. I also love reading everyone's comments and replying to as many as I can. So let me know what you think, maybe what your favorite pattern is, and if you're gonna add any of these to your project queue that is way too long for any of us to ever do in a lifetime. Now, let's get into it. All right, so the first pattern that we're gonna look at today, we're starting out strong with Sari Nordlund. I have never talked about any of her patterns on here in my pattern roundups. Not because I don't like her, I think she's an amazing designer, but I try to not name the bigger designers because we see their stuff everywhere, but I had not seen this particular pattern, haven't seen it circulate that much out of all the things that she releases. So I thought it'd be fun to check out. But this is the Champagne Pullover. It is an all over lace pattern. It is a drop shoulder construction. I feel like this is a really standard construction for her. She releases a lot of designs with this kind of drop shoulder, maybe some shaping, but overall a more boxy kind of fit. And it has a really nice balance of, you get to do these really cool cables that frame these lacy diamonds, if you will. And then you also get all over lace. It looks to be like a very engaging knit. It is technically a DK weight pattern, but it's made by holding two strands of fingering lace together. It's knit up on a US 2.5 or 3.0 millimeter and then a 3.5 millimeter. Lots of sizes. Sari is just a really safe designer to go with if you're unfamiliar with patterns or maybe you're new to picking up knitting patterns. Honestly, going with some of the bigger, more popular designers is going to be the way to go. They have more resources. Almost all of them grade their patterns to a lot of different sizes, and their patterns are just written really well. I've made one Sari Nordlund pattern, and it was great. It was very, very detailed, kind of holds your hand the entire time. So even if you are totally new or an experienced knitter, you could definitely understand the pattern easily. I just love this lace. It's just so pretty, and I love the folded collar. I'm a big fan of a folded neckline. I like a bit of a structured neckline. I don't want nothing flopping around my neck. You know what I'm saying? Up next is from none other than Irene Lin. I've also just made one of her designs. I made the Kylie pullover last year. This is the Fern sweater, And this sweater actually uses the same or very, very similar lace motif to the wings sweater that I'm working on. This is a raglan design, very billowy, oversized design. I really love this neckline that they have. It's a very, it looks like a folded collar of some kind, but it just creates this really beautiful edge. I actually have no idea how they do that. It's very interesting. The pattern is made with fingering weight yarn, but you use a US 6, so I believe that's a 4mm needle. So this is very much meant to be light, airy, easy breezy, you know, easy breezy. I love how oversized it is. It's also fundamentally a very simple construction. It has a bit of a bubble sleeve on it. Not a very intense bubble, but they definitely probably do some decreases at the end of that lace sleeve and then pull it in and gather it. And it's hard to tell how they finish that sleeve, if that's an I-cord or something else, but I think it looks very clean, and I like that it's not a standard, 1x1 rib bind off or 1x1 rib hem. I like seeing different hems because I think there's something about that standard 1x1 rib hem. I can always tell when it's homemade, and something like this, if I was to see it out and about, I don't think I would be able to tell. I mean, it just looks so nice, and I love the all over lace. She used brushed cashmere for the sample, which, can you just imagine how amazing that would feel? And like the brushed alpaca, I would imagine would bloom. I mean, that just has to feel like heaven on your body. But any yarn that blooms pretty well, you could probably even use like a woollier wool. I would opt either, I think probably for maybe something like a birdie yarn from the Lamb Kid. That would actually be perfect for this, I think, because their Surrey base is a little bit, it's not quite so fluffy as some of their other yarns, like their Birdie DK, and that would actually, I think, do really well with this. It would be a real subtle lace. Oh, that would just be so pretty. Up next, I saw this sweater a while ago. This is the October Day sweater by Masha Ziabilkova. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize in advance if I'm not. But this is an all-over lace sweater with a yoke construction, and it has this all-over lace. It's not saying on the page, but it's knit either bottom up or top down. It's knit with 2 strands of silk mohair to make DK weight. So it's still very light and airy, but you're getting to knit with DK weight yarn, and you knit this up with a 5mm needle, so a US 8. Pretty big. I would imagine this would go pretty dang fast. I just love how this looks. I mean, look how, again, ethereal is the vibe. White after Labor Day is the vibe, like winter white. It's just so pretty. This lace motif with the leaves is the same one that you use in the Golden Fall sweater by Atelier Azur or Lucy. I knit that sweater a while ago, and it used this leaf lace motif. It's very easy and it's very fast because you're really mostly just doing stockinette. So pretty. In this gold color, come on. So pretty. Up next, the Somme Cardigan by Cookie the Knitter. This pattern also has been around for a couple years. It was released in 2023, and it's an all-over lace cardigan. I always see this specific picture on Instagram. It like pops up at random times, and I just think to myself, that is so stunning. With the mother of pearl buttons, the fit is so nice, classic drop shoulder design. I just love everything about it. She layers it with a turtleneck. It just looks so cute. And in the sunlight, again, I'm like, winter goddess here. I just love this fuzzy, ethereal kind of look. It looks like halo. She looks like an angel. The sweater would be worn by angels, I think. And then you have a close-up of the mother of pearl buttons. I believe that this is knit up again with 2 strands of silk mohair to make DK weight. I don't often knit with 2 strands of silk mohair, but I think it does make a really cool effect that I've never really utilized before. Like, this would be incredibly lightweight, but probably also incredibly warm given silk mohair is very warm. So that could be kind of interesting, you know, to have a very warm functional sweater, but you're still able to do lace and it's able to be physically very lightweight and breathable. I find silk mohair to be incredibly breathable. This is knit up with a 4.5, a 4, and a 3 millimeter needle. Has a pretty wide range of sizes. I believe Cookie the Knitter is a Korean designer, and sometimes the Korean patterns don't come in a full, what we would call a full size range. They come in much more limited size ranges, sometimes, not always. But this one comes in 7 sizes, which I think is pretty good. I love this so much. I've seen it so many times, has a slight bubble sleeve. I just think to myself, wow, I gotta make that one of these days. The Gal sweater, this also came out a couple years ago. This is by Masha. So the same person that did the October Day sweater. This one's also just so pretty. It is 2 strands of fingering weight yarn held together, knit up on a US 8. It's this really pretty shape. It looks to be a raglan construction of some kind. Like you can see the raglan seam there. I don't think it's a true raglan. It's probably a modified raglan. And then she has this band in the center here where she has gathered it a little bit. I'm assuming with an I-cord that she's made in a little bow. It's just so cute. This would be really pretty with a midi or maxi length jean skirt with boots. Think Jennifer Aniston in Friends wearing a almost floor length, midi length jean skirt with a slit and skinny tall boots. This would be so cute. So classic, so girly. You could probably make this bottom portion a little bit longer if you didn't want it to be so short. Like this looks like it hits right at her hips. So I probably would make it a little bit longer just because I'm a little bit on the taller side. But again, I just love how soft and sweet it looks. She's wearing it here over a dress. Very cute. Very, very cute. This one is knit bottom up. Some people can dislike that. I've made a couple things bottom up and they can be a bit dicey, but I think that all of the issues that I have come across from knitting things bottom up could have been avoided if I just blocked my pieces before moving on to the next step and measured them. I could have, should have, would have done that. Here we are. Up next is the Thalia sweater. This is by Megan Houghton. This was released just this year, and I'm pretty sure she's a pretty new designer or is just now starting to gain a bit more popularity, but this pattern is awesome. It is an all over lace drop shoulder design that has a picot edge on the neckline, the sleeves, and the bottom. It's just really, it's really pretty and it looks great on her. Very similar to some of the other ones that we've been looking at in the sense that it's all over lace. I feel like a lot of people who do this all over lace motif, they pick yarns that are a little bit fuzzy or they have silk mohair in them. And so there's a bit of halo and softness, which makes the whole lace motif appear a bit softer and not so harsh or like, oh wow, that's like a lot of lace that you're wearing. But I loved this. I thought it was so pretty. Nice big boxy sleeves on it. This is a DK weight sweater, so it's fingering and then a lace of some kind, so probably silk mohair held together to make the DK weight yarn. It's knit up on a 4.0mm needle, and it comes in 10 sizes. Very significant size range there. This is also knit bottom up, at least that's what the tag here says. I haven't actually bought this pattern, so I hope that that's true. She considers it to be an intermediate and advanced knitter project. Here's the thing. When I see stuff like that, I think it's kind of unfortunate to label your knitting as, oh, this is for beginner or this is for advanced knitters. I totally get labeling them so that if someone who's new to knitting is purchasing it, they wouldn't be misled to think that something's going to be easier than it is. Obviously, this will be a little bit more complicated than just a plain stockinette sweater. But it is also interesting to think about if there was no rating on it, you know, would people be more inclined to maybe push themselves and say, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm just gonna try to make that, instead of labeling themselves like, oh, I'm a beginner, I can't do that. And the truth is there's no rules to these things. It's all about how ambitious you want to be, what type of resources or support you have. Do you know someone who can help you with this? And personally, when I look at this, the lace motif repeats over the entire thing. It doesn't appear to have much shaping to it. The most complicated part would probably be the picot edge, and you could easily swap that for a different edge if you wanted to. So I would consider this to be very doable for any beginner to pick up and learn. If you're ambitious and you want to tackle learning how to read charts and you really want to push yourself. I mean, a good friend of mine, her very first knitting project ever was the halibut sweater. She had never knit anything in her life, but she was just really ambitious, and that was her first sweater. And now the things that she makes are so much further beyond like what you would see, I feel like, a brand new knitter make. So don't limit yourself always. Shoot for the moon. Up next is the Ballerina Romance sweater. This is by Camille K. I've talked about her patterns before. She has lots of really elegant, romantic aesthetics that she uses. This one doesn't have nearly as much lace as some of the other ones, but I do really like that it's a multifunctional piece that you can wear reversed sides. So here she's wearing the cross in the front, and it makes this really pretty V-neck. And then here she's wearing it as a scoop neck, but the V is in the back. And I just think aesthetically that's a very smart design and very cool. You know, you could wear and style that a ton of different ways. It looks like she has some lace in here. I don't know if you would call this technically a cable. On the side here, these guys, I forget what they're called, but she has a little bit of lace on the sleeve there. And then I believe she has a crocheted edge. That definitely looks like crochet that she has on the edge of that. But this is also with 2 silk mohair strands held together to make fingering weight yarn. She uses a 3.5 and a 4 needle. Her sizes, they're okay in terms of, you know, what people typically are wanting to see in size ranges. She has an extra small up to a 2XL. I've never bought her pattern, so I can't speak for them. I don't know if all of them stay in that size range, but I love her designs. They're so beautiful. It is knit seamless, which is nice. You would look at this and maybe think, oh, it's a bit more complicated, but it is knit seamless. It's so cute, very functional, very smart kind of design. I really like it. I also love this peachy kind of color, and it would look great in white. Winter white, ladies, winter white, or guys. This one is the Heaven Cardigan by Pope Vergara. I've talked about her stuff before. This doesn't really have lace on it other than like a couple of spots on the bottom here. There's a tiny bit of lace, and then beading all the way up on the back here. So pretty. She shows it in this gold kind of color. There's beading even on the hem here for the sleeves. It's just so cute. This would also be really pretty in white, and then any of the beads could be like iridescent glass, or you could lean into pink or yellow or any of the colors that you see in like iridescent things like crystals. Like you see all the different colors refracting. You could kind of play into any of those, and this would be really pretty. I loved this. I thought it was so cute. The one thing that I was not sure about is you see on the front here, you can really see it here, because there's this cable here on the side, and because it doesn't look like there's buttons of any kind and that this is just meant to be open, I would be curious to see how well this stays on your shoulder. I don't want to deter anyone from trying this pattern because I really like it. And you can see here, it looks like it's fitting her pretty well, but maybe you could just think about having like a pin or something to close it if you didn't want it to like slide off your shoulders. I don't think it would be that big of an issue, but I did notice that when I was looking at it, and I thought, I wonder if you'd have to worry about that. Oh, the blue, it's just, it's so cute. It's so pretty. This is the Pierre sweater by Johanna Gayrish, all over lace. And this lace is very different than the other laces we've seen. I don't know what kind of lace you would call this. This to me, again, I don't know if it's just because of the yarn that she's chosen. She does have a silk mohair in here with this, but sometimes with all over lace like this, for me, it can look too harsh, like too sharp. I don't know what that's about. But making this with like a Surrey alpaca, I could be really into that. I think that would soften the whole thing a lot more, but you could still see the lace. So if I was to make it, I would probably hold it with, you know, whatever your base wool is, and then add a Surrey alpaca, something with a bit more fluff. You know what I'm saying? I love the overall design. I love the twisted rib hem. I love the folded collar, drop shoulder, very boxy, just very, very nice. Her patterns also come in a really great, like, very large range of sizes. So I think hers go from XX, extra small, all the way up to 5XL. So definitely lots of options for people. And then up next, this is the first non-sweater that we have. This is the Astraea top by Megan Houghton. I saw this pattern a couple months ago and it's so beautiful. It's a light fingering weight pattern, knit up on a US 2.5, so very, very small gauge. The size range on this, I've truly never seen anything like this. It has 14 sizes. I mean, props. Grading that many sizes for something this intricate and complex, that is a lot of work. And we can appreciate it. But she has lots of different options for what you can do with this pattern, which I think is awesome. So she has this open front with little beads that go all the way down and then a crocheted edge. You can knit it closed without the lace on the edges, without that crochet edge. You can do it closed with the crochet edge and a picot hemline. You can make just a bralette, which is really cool. These are a little bit wider shots, close up of the crocheted edge that you can add. Just lots of different options. So when you buy the pattern, you're essentially getting 4 different patterns, which I think is really cool. Definitely, I think worth it in the long run. Astraea, I feel, is really well known for this at this point, but she is very generous in her patterns. She gives you all the modifications you could want. It feels like you can make like 6 different tops with the one pattern you buy, and I think that's one of the reasons why she's had so much success. So this feels very similar to that. You're getting a good deal on this pattern. It is a bit more expensive because of that. I mean, I think this pattern, I did notice that and wanted to mention it. This is a $15 pattern, which in the grand scheme of knitting patterns is definitely more expensive, but you have to consider you're getting a ton of different ways to make this top essentially, and then the size range is crazy. Not crazy bad, just there's a lot of sizes. I've never seen 14 sizes graded in a pattern, and I don't know if all of them have been tested. You're getting a lot in this pattern, which is why I think it's priced the way it is, but it was just so pretty that I had to mention it. This one is a classic. I feel like people have definitely heard of this one. This is Cardigan number 6 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. My Favorite Things Knitwear, very popular, very, very common, but I don't see this pattern that much. I see it a fair bit, but not too much. It's really pretty. It has that very oversized, billowy, kind of fuzzy, ethereal look to it. I love the little eyelets in the lace, and this is technically an Aran weight pattern, so this would go by super fast. I just really enjoy this. Every time I come across it on social media, I think, wow, it's just pretty. It's just really pretty, and I always end up saving it, and then I have like 6 saves on my Instagram of the exact same sweater. Up next, this is the Crumpet cardigan by Park Williams. This was released earlier this year. This is actually a 2-piece set, so you can purchase the cardigan and you can also just purchase the little crop top that she's wearing underneath if you want. I thought this was really, really cute. You know, if you didn't have that much yarn, you could just do the crop top, and if you wanted a little bit bigger project, you could do the cardigan. I love how lightweight this is. If I'm not mistaken, which I very well could be, but I thought I saw on her Instagram that she's based in Florida. And so this is a great option if you want that winter lace kind of feel, but you live in a really warm place. You could make this with a summer yarn and it would integrate really well into a summer you know, much warmer climate. It looks great on lots of different people. Kind of timeless. You know, you can wear it more fitted and as a top like this girl has here. I just really think it's a versatile piece, and I like that it's fitted. A lot of these sweaters are oversized, and I really appreciate that this could be slightly oversized, but ultimately, like, you can tell by just how she's designed it that it's meant to be a bit more fitted, and I just think it's really flattering. She's also just so pretty. And last but certainly not least, I would be remiss if I did not mention the pattern again that I'm working on. This is the Wings sweater by Claudia Quintanilla. It's all over lace work, has all over beading as well, and it has this really great kind of large Peter Pan style collar. It's hard to see in the photos here, but it hits her shoulders. You know, it's a pretty sizable collar. I'm about 40% of the way done with this. My beads, you can't see them quite as starkly as you can see these, but you can definitely still see them when the light hits it, and it's a little bit more subtle than this is. I think both are great. I'm almost done with both sleeves, and I'm so excited to get this one finished. I hope that you all enjoyed this and enjoyed going through some of these patterns. I love collecting all the patterns that I just think are really, really pretty and then sharing them here with you guys so you can pull from them or just see what I'm liking and maybe add some of these things to your queue of knitting projects. I personally tend to enjoy watching pattern roundups from people whose aesthetics I just like. I know that most of the things that they enjoy or like are probably also things I enjoy and like. So I hope that you enjoy these. I hope that you can appreciate the aesthetics and some of the patterns, and maybe that you'll give some of them a try, no matter your level of knitting. And let me know what you thought and what other types of patterns you want to see in the future. Maybe let me know a theme or an aesthetic that you're interested in. It'd be fun to do some research and dig out and find those patterns. I've been thinking for a while that it would be really fun to do vintage patterns that I could see myself wearing like today, because there's so many vintage knitting patterns. I think I would really enjoy wearing that these days. Thank you all so much for being here. Real quick before I go, I forgot to mention earlier, the sweater I'm making is not homemade. I've had this for almost 10 years. My mom bought it at a store, but this is homemade. This is my Aloft shawl from the 52 weeks of scarves is what it's called. But this is from that book, and I knit this up using Bichet Bouche lamb's wool, fingering weight, and then Birdie yarn, their Surrey base from Lamb & Kid. It's held up great, the combination is great, and how fitting. It's lace, and it looks very soft and halo-y because of the Surrey. So if that wasn't enough of a sign for you, maybe try again. Watch the video again. See if your tune changes. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you all in the next one, and I hope that you're getting to make all the things that you want to make, do all the things that you want to do, prepping for the holidays, getting some time off, and getting to use the last bit of your vacation before the new year and before the year is out. I will see you all soon. Keep it classy for the sake of everything. It's not a big ask at this point. It should just be standard expectation that we do this, so lead the way. All right, bye guys.